Let's open it up for questions. Any questions? I'm going to bring microphones out to you.
Bill Cornelius from Forest Road area. How much has the grand list in the town grown over the last 10 years, approximately, if the young lady could answer that? The grand list as far as...
Yeah. And, 10 years is a long time to have at your fingertips. Do you have grand list information growth? Let me get you that in a second, okay? Do you have it? It grows about 1.5% a year on average. That compounding too, right? So 1.5 this year is a little bit more next year because the list is bigger. So that might answer your question, about 15% over 10 years. Chris, we had a communications company come out to Honeywell and look over the property, what it would take to move dispatch over, what the cost would be. We talked about communications last time and a tower and all that. Do you want to spend 2 seconds talking about that?
Sure. Currently, we have a 150 band VHF system. Currently, we have 3 sites. We have 3 transmit and receive sites currently spread over town. So my question to some radio companies were, can we move our dispatch center? And is there a cost?
Talk right into it.
Talk right
you
into
have
it.
that
I'm sorry
voice.
about that. Talk right into it. There we go. So yes, it is feasible to move our dispatch center. We have the PSTN network that goes right by our facility, which gives us more opportunities for stuff, and it can be easily done. And the costs are coming in better than what we thought. We're still waiting for some rough numbers. We have propagation maps. We have stuff on towers. One of the questions is, do we need one? So we're going through that paperwork now.
So we've had the communications company come out there, evaluate the property, compared to our towers that we have in town to make sure all the communication can work.
2 different companies.
It's set up.
Yeah.
It's set up to work.
To work.
Good. Questions? Rich?
Thanks, Mark. With the graphic that you had for the debt, you had the existing debt just disappearing and that the only debt was the schools and the police project. Do we anticipate any other debt that the town will concur or take on during the next period of time that you have that graphic so that the existing debt doesn't just disappear?
It's a good question, Rich. As you know, we take on projects, but this is the last piece of our town when you talk about the needs. And, we did the public works facility. Did you see that Waterford is building a $17 million garage? I'm envious. We have the public works facility. This last piece is the piece. We spend money every year on roads. Every once in a while, we need to buy a fire truck. And all that. So yes, there will be additional debt put on, but this is what the graph you saw is the debt we have, the bonds that are already on Wall Street being paid down, and we pay about $5 million down a year. And then the schools, which is $38 million put on top of it, coming down over 20 years. And then this is the police station debt is in yellow. Over time, will we be putting more debt on? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we have any big projects on our capital plan going forward? No. No, and somebody asked that in the questions, what's coming next? Are you going to start fortifying the schools? Security is an issue in America with schools being violent sites. Part of our school project is to fortify our schools, and our high school has gone through that as well, and our middle school is built. So no, we're at that place now where we think we'll be taking quite a long time before we have to consider any other opportunities for growth. And who knows? Who knows what this town will look like 20 years from now? But no new projects on the capital plan. I'll be right back to you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Robert Van Cor from Giasek Heights. I was a police officer for 24 years. I retired as a lieutenant. I worked at the judicial for 18 and a half years, just retired from them. And my work brought me to every police department east of the Connecticut River, except for Troop C in Tolland and Ledyard. I've seen them all. I know where they all are. Some of them are not in very good locations. Decent enough buildings, but sometimes they're just, you can't figure why Tom put it there. But when you come to location of a police department, it's not only will it serve the police officers' needs, but will it address the public's needs? And of all the police departments I've been to, the worst possible location I have seen for a potential police department is the Honeywell building. If you look at a town map, you see the north-south orientation, the collection of commercial, residential, and public buildings and services. You know, that's a bad location. A police department should be somewhere in the Flanders area where it has access to Route 161, Route 1, 95, and that the town road network will support alternative bypasses to the state roads if necessary. I know that might be a problem. The town may not have enough property, but the police department needs a police building with the other public safety elements put in. I would rather spend the money or see the town spend the money to build a police department where it needs to be. What we're trying to do now is to take an office building and put wings on it to see if the pig flies. And I don't think long-term it will work. What I would like to see the town do is, if necessary, use eminent domain and take away that Starlight Inn where it has been murder arrests, 8 other arrests, and a total of 73 calls for public service, police, fire, or ambulance in 2018 alone. That's a detriment to the whole town. If we can't find town-owned building in the Flanders area, I would like to see the town, if necessary, using eminent domain, take the Starlight, which would be a great place for a police department. And judging by the number of cars that were in the parking lot tonight, I don't think they're really doing great business. So the current owner may be looking for an unload.
Let me answer that. Thank you, sir. The state of Connecticut thinks that would be a great place for an exit ramp. That's where the new exit ramp is going to be on 95 when they redo 74. It's going to go right through Starlight. The on-ramp is going to go through the mobile station. So that's the future of the Starlight. We wouldn't want to build a police station there since it's going to be knocked down. Let me get to a few others, and then we'll get back. Anyone up here? Oh.
Pat Larkin. So option 1 and option 2 were discounted. I wanted to know if anyone got any real prices about what option 1 and option 2 would have cost. And the second question is, if our officers are out on the road all the time, which doesn't matter where it's located, why do we need such a large facility, 15,000 square feet?
Want to talk about the facility? We did a space needs analysis.
And that's all based on industry standards, and we can show you the space needs assessment that was done here as well as some other towns. It's based on not just workspace for the officers, but you have locker room space, you have evidence storage space, you have holding space, you have the dispatch center, the emergency operations center. So it's certainly a multitude of different locations inside of that building. What? Yeah. Okay. That's why I'm answering his question. He was unaware of that. So looking at those things to try to say, why do you need that much space? And that's why the needs assessment was between 15 and 17,000 square foot. So again, it's not simply for just those officers, because the officers' workspace is probably a smaller portion of it, but it's the other support facilities that you need inside of that building, and some of those are absolutely necessary and are not discretionary.
We didn't give you a dollar figure, Pat, on how much it would cost to redo it. We know the facility isn't big enough, period. We know that we have to put a new generator in, a new roof in. We'd have to dig up the floors, put new ceilings in, clean up the walls, probably replace wall board that has mold in it, a roof, HVAC, generator. What am I missing? Oh, and the bricks. We have to repoint the whole building. We take between $500,000 and $1 million to stay in the facility temporarily, not to really redo it and make it a police station, which we don't have the room to do it in anyway. Yeah, I know. We had a couple this way and a couple that way. Oh, good.
I think, first of all, I have absolutely no desire to pay more taxes. However, I think that we, the town, we, East Lyme, said, let's have an independent police force. And now we're being asked the question, what do we do to give them all the tools they need to do their job? I think we all need to ask ourselves, if not now, when? If you look at the debt chart, it looks to be about 2033 before it got back to where it is exactly now. 2033, I'll be 92. I don't think this is the time to say, let's look this gift horse in the mouth, and to give away this opportunity, because why would we want to pay double what we're paying now, and if we wait till 2033, triple, 4 times, etc., where's that money going to come from? So, although I don't want to pay any more taxes, I would urge each town member to say, if not now, when, and at what cost?
Thank you, Steve. The time to build the police station is back here. We should have built one. We started tonight talking about that. It should have been done. It was cheap money back then. It would have been half paid off if we did it 10 years ago. And we wouldn't have a sick building meaning I have officers who are ill because of the mold and mildew in the building, in an unsafe work environment. Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mark. I noticed the last question about the Department of Corrections to discuss use of their vacant buildings. And it mentions that the department, by the way, I'm Eric Straub, I live on Corey Lane. The Department of Corrections has been engaged and found that the buildings are in shambles. The buildings at Gates have been left abandoned and uncared for over the past several decades. They cannot be renovated and would need to be raised. Therefore, the cost remains at twice the cost of this proposal. Have there been any formal studies, impact statements, any kind of analyses done by the state or the town regarding specifics, arithmetic, as far as the numbers pertaining to the buildings at the Department of Corrections? Has there been any kind of statement by the state of Connecticut, tangible numbers saying that we indeed cannot do this? What kind, I mean, I see, it looks like opinions here, and I can understand that, but has there been any kind of hard arithmetic done by the state of Connecticut saying that this would be unfeasible? Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. I think your question, is that coming from the question and answer page? Okay, so I wasn't sure what you're reading from. We toured the Gates prison area. There's a couple abandoned buildings that we were in conversation with. We actually toured with. Sergeant Saffiati actually took over that search and went up there. We couldn't go into some of the rooms because it was, you know, it was just mold and mildew. And the buildings are in such disrepair that they got to be brought down. We did consider, do we build a police station there? So you take that and you don't have to put it up there, Julie, but that map with all the stars, that could be a star. I think, you know, by the way, the rest of the buildings at the Gates facility that have been running, and they've been doing, I think, meals for the rest of the prison or laundry or something, they've all been shut down. They've all been drained of water and boarded up, and they are not going to use that facility, and you know what's going to happen is those buildings are going to go in disrepair very quickly. Will that land be available for East Lyme to get it again someday? Maybe. Just a sidebar. But we did look at the facilities over there. They're in very much disrepair. Broken pipes and water and mold and roofs collapsing in and the whole bit. We could use the facility with a whole new building. Again, we go back to the $10 to $12 million question. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad everybody showed up to speak their piece and we listened to what they got to say down there. Well, I got a few things to say myself. I've been around this town for 82 years. In the 1970s, I pushed hard for a police department. I recommended that we combine with Waterford, merge with Waterford. That would have been a good deal. But nobody thought that was a good idea. Well, this building, Honeywell, it could be a good building. It brings tax money in, but it's not a building for a police department. The police department doesn't belong on West Main Street. It belongs in the center of East Lyme. There's a lot of spots, and I saw the 4 points up there that I didn't see anybody that talked about maybe having a private contractor or a private businessman build this building to the town specs for a police department and leasing it for 25 or 30 years. I didn't see anybody talk about that. I think that is a good idea because the town is strapped financially, okay? We have spent money on things that we don't need, on wants. We need on wants, not needs. We bought that piece of property on Main Street. We spent $1 million there, a little more. We spent $20 million on a boardwalk, and we've needed a police department since the 70s in this town. You don't form a full-time police department without a building. That is ridiculous. So I see there's another spot in town that I saw, or I went by a couple weeks ago, right up there on the highway. The old restaurant there that's for sale, I think car dealership owns that. That would be a perfect place for a police department. Right near the highway, off and on, very easy. Maybe we could get somebody to build a building there for the town and just lease it. I don't know. But this, we're rushing into something that we needed since the 70s. We wanted to have a full-time police department, and we did other things that we didn't need right now instead of building a police department. And I have here a little list of things that we're going to have to bond in the near future. Excuse me, I'm not talking into the mic. Of a list of things, like the school renovation is $38 million. The water system upgrade is $4.64 million. An education lawsuit is $0.75 million. Safety complex, $9.2 million. Health cost overrun, which was pushed under the carpet there for a while, as far as I'm concerned. That totals $54.19 million. You know what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen? We're bonding our kids and their kids and their kids in this town. This administration has bonded more money than anybody that's run this town before. The taxpayers are suffering here. They talk it's only going to cost $20. Well, on an appraisal. Let's look at a business and see what it's going to cost us. I just paid my insurance. Over 20 grand I had to pay. My taxes, $4,000 this quarter, $4,000 next quarter. You know what it cost me before I opened my doors? $2,000. That's what it cost me. And they want to keep spending more money. They wasted enough money in this town. It's time to do it right. We can't afford this building. We can't. And I think the best way is to lease a building, have it built and lease it, save the town some money. That's how I feel about it. That's, okay? And I ever say, Randall's nuts, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, I recommended a lot of things in this town. We had a school building down there that we tore down. I went to the meeting, I says, we got 2 buildings. Let's put the new school in the middle. Let's fix these 2 buildings. We'll have enough school rooms for the next 30 years. No, they tore down a perfectly good building. Tore it down, wasted it. They waste money in this town like it's going out of style. Thank you very much.
Mark.
He wanted to build one at Lulu's, at the Pancake House, the other corner of the town. We have one question. Yes, ma'am?
Hi, my name is Debbie. I'm from Pine Grove. I have a question. Has there been a study that has been done for the proposed new building site for the increase of the operational cost of the new building? Like a monthly cost, has there been a study done on what our monthly costs would be? What would be the increase? Has there been a percentage that has been done with any kind of study?
Yeah, so good question. Because what's the operational? We're going to put everybody over there. The police building now, the 7,500 square feet, is heated with electric heat. Electric heat and windows that will blow out a candle if you put it too close to the window. It costs us a fortune. I think almost $28,000 a year in electric bill alone at the current police station. The EOC, the fire marshal's office next to Flanders, I have that figure. Do you remember, Chris? The EOC is $15,000. That's that little building by Flanders School. It used to be a one garage firehouse. So 28 and 15 is what we spend now in electric costs. Honeywell spends $22,000 a year. But I can't say that that's what we're going to spend because we're going to bring all this electronic stuff into the building. It's very efficient. These buildings that we currently are in are not efficient. Okay, obviously electric heat, terrible idea in New England. This is, forced hot air. It's the HVAC system on the roof, and it blows in the hot air or the cold air in the summertime. Very efficient compared to where we were. I can't give you a number because it's kind of impossible. We don't know what our electric needs are going to be or when we bring everything together. We'll also be sharing some electronics, servers and such like that. So actually our equipment will be going down as we bring all our departments together under one roof.
Will they be all sharing that monthly bill, and do we have a projected insurance cost for the building?
No. I don't have an insurance cost for the building. Of course, we'll be losing an insurance cost on Main Street. And just talk about what we'll do with the building up in Flanders. We're not sure yet. There's many different needs. The school could use it for some space. The Historical Society would love to make it an East Lyme museum because they have a lot of material that they can't store properly, or it goes on the market. So insurance policy, no, I didn't put that together. We have a very big insurance policy, and one more building would be added on and one would be taken off. It's a good question. It's legit. I get it.
I just didn't want to know if anybody had actually done a study when they were considering this building, what the average percentage of what the cost would be with the new building.
Right. So we
per month, the monthly
right.
charges and stuff.
So kind of explain, we don't have all those figures. It's tough to do that. I can tell you building a new building, the cost would be the same. We still have the electronics in the new building. We'd need a janitor for the new building. There'd be an insurance cost to the new building as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that this building could be used to alleviate space crunch in other places. Do you have any idea that if you didn't have this extra room available, what it would possibly cost the town to create the space to alleviate the space crunch?
It's almost like I planted that question. It's a good question, though, because I don't want to go and make promises, and I don't want to confuse people that this is part of the plan officially, that when you vote at referendum, that you're also voting that the library will get more space or the senior center will get more space because we plan on pulling other departments out of the community center and moving some departments around, so therefore we'll have some municipal space. But that is the plan, having the opportunity to have 10,000 extra square feet that the town can move the pieces around. My intention is to put together a 2020 vision committee like we've had in our town and say, what are the space needs for all the departments? Where are we at now? What departments are out of room? Where do we think we'll be in 20 years? And now that we have this opportunity of extra space, how can we grow into it or utilize that property? The library is out of room. The senior center is not doing programming because they don't have enough space. They have more people than they have space and room for. We have needs, and we have to serve that full population, not just the school kids. So it's a good question, and yeah, we intend to do that. It's not part of this plan, but this plan gives us that opportunity that we haven't had before. I promised you a long time ago.
Hi, I'm Martin Vizina from Whitney Lane. The chief mentioned a couple times patrol areas in the town, and I'm also concerned about the location. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the patrol areas? How many patrol areas are there? How many officers are on the road at any given time? How far are they from us?
Certainly. We have minimum patrols in town. That does not always mean it's the maximum. It's the minimum we can go down to if officers are on vacation, sick, training. But we have a town broken down to 3 patrol areas. We have the Western Patrol area, which is the Giants Neck, Rocky Neck side of town. We have the Northern Patrol, which is middle school up, and then we have the Southern, which is the southern portion of town. So those are the 3 patrol areas, as well as a sergeant that's working. And then if we have any extra patrols like DUI, or it's an overlap ship where we have an extra person, we have a rover that is going between patrols as a backup. So, you know, ideal situation, yes. You can't speak for absolutes, so everybody's tied up with an arrest or a large incident or multiple incidents. Certainly that's not going to happen. So, but that is the goal all the time. Okay. Or if there's a...
A lot of you were here last time, and I think Mark brought it up, Mark Powers. We left this very long forum about a month ago, and the police within 15 minutes were called to the Starlight for that murder that you saw so much about on TV and read about in the paper. And you know, I commend them for the job they did on that, but they're doing it without a full deck, you know. They brought the suspect back to the police station. No, at first he was a witness. So they stick him in a room that is just a room. It's not like you see on TV at police, you know, with the mirrors and a secure room with the proper locks and all that. It's just a room and a table and a chair. And the gentleman turned from a witness saying, I saw the guy do it, to a suspect to the guy. And we're not really set up to put that very dangerous person in this building with the front door to Main Street sitting right there. You understand, and I've made my point on this building. Are there any other questions up here? Mike.
Thank you. This building, could it be, you know, we need to do something with the police station right now. There's no question about that. That building is in horrible, horrible condition, and it's beyond its, without being totally rebuilt and spending a whole bunch of money there, which I could care less if we're spending a whole bunch of money there or spending it on the other place. It's just that it's not habitable at this point. And with all these expansion, all these apartments and construction going on, we're going to have nothing but more and more and more people coming into town, and then they're going to need more and more police officers to patrol these areas. It's going to become a nightmare. Mike, I guess one of the things I'm looking at is at least this complex, because we have to do something pretty quick. It could be something where we just get the police department in there, and can this be done? The renovations of this be done in sections, or in quadrants, and still we can still utilize Waterford for some of the things, but at least wise get the police in there. Until we can get things over time worked out better than trying to accomplish it all in one shot. Plus, you'd roll that 9.2 million out maybe over many years, as opposed to something that's going to be hitting us all at one time. Thank you.
It is rolled out after over 3 years, the way we do our finance, or 2 years. And it might be 3 years based on some of your comments. I think I'll talk about the process. Again, this was different than building the schools. We don't have a litany of the things we're going to be doing. We're just buying the building, and we brought the foremost expert, the guy that builds all the police stations, Brian Humes. It's all he does for a living is build police stations and fire stations and all that. We brought him into the building. He looked around and went, wow, I get it. Looked in the back where we have the warehousing and the possibilities and the opportunities for holding cells and lockup and evidence locker and all that other stuff, and armory, and went, wow. And then kind of said, based on square footage, based on what you got, based on what you're going to need, $3 million to renovate. 3.2 is what we came up with. So that's how we came up with the $6 million plan. Right, so 2.775 to buy the building, 3.225 to renovate the building. We're going to buy the building, and then we're going to put a vision committee together, made up of Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, Police Commission, and members of our community, members at large. They'll be supported by staff. They'll be supported by the chief and Chris, our fire marshal. And we will, with an architect that is selected, and goes through and comes up with a plan, we will come up with a plan how to spend properly that other $3.2 million. You don't want to hand us $3.2 million and say, go make it happen. Government doesn't work that way. We're going to have a vision committee that puts that together, prioritizes, because we might not be able to do everything we want. That's the reality of it, you know, and we don't build palaces in East Lyme. We build functional buildings, sometimes too cheaply, if you ask some people that work here in the high school. But we'll put a vision committee together that will make the recommendations to our town building committee. We'll vote, and then we'll spend that money. Some of the discussion has been, let's leave the hard holding cells. When we take someone, we arrest them, and we got to keep them overnight, maybe for 2 nights until they get to court. Maybe keep that in Waterford. Maybe keep that rent going. Bring it down a little bit because we won't be using it that much. But 80 or 90% of the time, we don't keep people held up over the weekend. So we'll do holding cells in this police station, male, female, junior, youth, to process and release. Most of the arrests are process and release. Therefore, we wouldn't have to harden that back with the sprinkler systems and the showers and the kitchen and all the things that when you're holding a human being in a cage for a weekend, you know, you got to think of all the safety things that go in on that. Well, if you're not going down that road, you might be able to regionalize that part, and that would save our town money. We might not spend that whole $3.2 million if we do that, or we'll spend it on other things that will make that building last even longer and be a better value to our town. So, good question, Mike. That's how the process is going to work.
If this gets approved, how fast would you get the police in there?
I'd love to move them in that weekend. I really do think you need to go out and get an architect. And it's a big building. And it's set up nicely, but some things are going to have to be moved around. We're going to have to put security measures in that building, cameras in that building. The electronics need to come into that building. Our police are always communicating, and et cetera. So I think it would be a little while, but it has to be a fast pace because of the building that we're in. Less than a year, hopefully. At least be able to bring the police functions in. And maybe we would do construction in stages, like back to back. Phase 1, get the police in. Phase 2 would be get dispatch and all the other things. But I'd like to do it quickly. Our vision committee will determine that. Not just me, not just the chief, not just anyone, not just the police commission. We will make sure that it's being done right with the people who have been on board with this for a while. But it needs to be done. This can't be dragged out. Good question. Any other questions? Yes, sir, all the way in the back.
Hi, my name is Bruce Parks. I live in Pine Grove, and very interesting listening to everyone talk here. And my opinion, with the fiscal situation we have in the state of Connecticut, I don't think we should be bonding this money. If I could predict what's going to happen in the state, you know, no one can, but a little common sense, you see what's going on. They're talking $7 billion deficit for the state within 4 or 5 years. I'm not going to harp on that, but I think everyone gets my point. I have so many things I want to say, I don't know where to start. But to me, that's the biggest thing. Tax and spend, tax and spend. This has to stop. I'm retired. You know, when you're retired, you're on a fixed income. And so, you know, my view is probably different than a younger person's view. I personally, as a contractor, worked on a police station in the town I used to live in. It was falling apart, but they made do. And this is 30 years ago, Naugatuck, Connecticut. And they had, the police force grew in leaps and bounds when they first built the new town hall they put up, which was part of the police department. Then they built a brand new police department that went way over budget. The taxes in Naugatuck are, I think, 60-some mils. So, and then the number of police officers in the town every year increases. And the budget for the police department is huge. And I'm afraid we're going to see the same thing here. One of my favorite sayings is, haste makes waste. I think a lot of the older people in here will agree with me. A lot of bad things come when you do things quick. And that's what we're doing here. We're rushing this police department. Worst thing we could do. I have a question. How long has that building been for sale?
It hasn't. It's not on the market yet, sir.
Okay.
They're moving out this week.
It'll be put on the market this week?
No, we have the exclusivity until March 15th.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was late getting to the meeting, so I missed some of it. I apologize. My point is, there's not many businesses open up in this state, for the obvious reasons. People leaving. I don't know why we're paying so much money for this building. I don't think they're going to be able to give the thing away, to be honest with you. But I could be wrong. I'm not a real estate expert, but that's another thing. I think if they do buy it, we're paying way too much money for it. How much do they pay on taxes annually on that building?
$38,000.
All right, okay. Was that factored into all the costs that you're attributing to this, taking that $38,000 a year out of our budget?
The 38 was taking it away from the money we're spending in Waterford for rent for jail cells, which we spend $48,000 right now.
Now, you said you were going to have to hire an architect.
Yeah.
This cost for this $300,000, or no, $3 million to renovate the building. Is the cost of an architect included in that?
That's correct.
Really?
About $30,000.
$30,000 to do all that work?
Actually, probably much less. 30,000 for a brand new building. Since the building's there, probably much less. We would go out to bid. We would get 3 bids for architect firms. It's design firms, sir. You're talking about special needs for public safety that isn't the need for Honeywell to be in a building or an insurance company or a construction company. They have very specific needs. There's big safety needs. There's also building standards that have to be addressed.
I understand. I've been involved in construction all my life.
Right.
I'll
let you.
I actually, my brother-in-law was well, he's retired now, but he was a principal and owner in one of the largest architectural and engineering firms in the state of Connecticut, Fletcher Thompson. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They've built a lot of police stations. And throughout the years, and talking with my brother-in-law, the amount of electronic stuff that they put in a police station is mind-boggling.
Sure is.
From the time the police car enters the facility, everything has to be on camera. And I'm not talking the camera you buy on Amazon for $99.99. I'm just saying...
We have it now, sir. We have all that now.
Right. So
right?
you know the story. But my point is, the estimate you people are coming up with to do this building over, I don't see it. I think it's going to cost a heck of a lot more than that.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
That's it. Good luck.
Thank you. Want to respond?
Sir, I was in the industry for 25 years, and I bought Honeywell equipment and notifier fire alarm equipment and installed CCTV systems, digital multiplexers, monitors. So that's just the standard cost of doing business. There's nothing exceptional about that. That building being, and it was pointed out before that it was designed and it's operational by a company that's a high-tech company. And they engineer and manufacture high-end electronics. And they're in, and the building is occupied. It's up to code. Now, granted, there'll have to be upgrades based on it's going to be used as a police station. But if you see, the old Saybrook cost $22,000 in 2015, $10.6 million. So we're being asked to shell out $6 million for a building that's 33% larger than that. And I think the town, by doing due diligence and waiting 12 years and doing the research, has cut the cost of a police station in half or more. And as far as patrol areas, every town like ours has their headquarters south of 95. I've lived in Madison, Clinton, Westbrook, and all those towns run north 20 miles, and they all have their police stations within 2 miles. Guilford, Branford. So I think it's a perfect building, and it's in perfect shape. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's a cold night. We've been here a little bit. Did my watch stop? Is it really only 8:30? Did you have a comment? Okay.
I just wanted to bring up one point. 12 years ago when we did this thing, we looked at what we needed in a 20-year envisionment for a police department. And at that time, we were working out of the old town hall, which was a very small building and everything. But the envisionment of what the town was going to be in 20 years and what we were going to need was we were going to go over to a full-time police department. We were going to hire a chief. We were going to have a police commission. We were going to put detectives on. We were going to provide sergeants for supervision. And all these things in the 12 years, you know, 60% of the time duration of the 20-year plan, and we've accomplished 80 to 85% of the things that we said we needed in 20 years. So we're on track to meet our goals and where we thought we were going to be in 20 years. We may even be a little ahead of schedule, but these are the things that when we went and did this plan for this municipal building, these are the things we said we needed to have and we needed to do. And we're marching on that same path that we set for ourselves, the town set for ourselves back then, 20 years ago, 12 years ago.
Thank you, Dave. It's nice to know the town plans and plans accurately. It's coming through. Was there a question up here? Yes, sir.
Of the $3 million estimate to renovate the building, do we have a number of what it would cost to renovate the building to make it safe for our current police officers? And that alone, to eliminate the deplorable working conditions at the existing station?
The question was asked earlier, but in a different way. How much would it be to renovate what we already have?
How much would it be to buy the building?
Buy the new building.
And renovate it to the point where it's usable.
Right.
Clean and safe for the police officers.
$3 million brings all the equipment in that we need, consolidates all the other the departments that should be working together under one roof. It's a $3 million processor. It's $3 million. We think we know it's $3 million. We don't have a litany of that. We don't have the grocery list yet of exactly what's going to be done. We haven't hired an architect yet. I did this with an opportunity that dumped in the lap. Here's an opportunity to cut the price in half. Do we do that, or do we go out and spend $12 million? Some people are not going to vote for this. Some people obviously aren't going to vote for this. Spend 12. Put it in a better place. You know, it would be great to have a civic center. You know, we already have the community center, and we have the middle school and Lily B. Masonic Temple is there, and they're kind of in a place where they might want to get out of their building, but that building isn't big enough, and their campus, their acreage isn't big enough, but we could maybe buy other properties next door. In the back, it's all swamp and marshy. We can't go back, but sideways. Maybe we could borrow some land from the church next door. And it would be great to put it there. It's not for sale currently. And to do something there is going to be more than $6 million. Maybe someday, 20 years, 40 years from now, the town fathers would get up and say, we want to do something different. And maybe we put the new town hall goes there. And the town hall that's in there now is beyond its life use, and it becomes condos. I don't know. But you have a question back there?
I do. Debbie from Pine Grove again, I'm sorry.
Hi, Debbie.
Everyone, I think, can agree that we want to make sure that our officers are safe. We want them in a safe environment for our protection, obviously. We don't want people being sick, and that is a concern. I'm also concerned with the presence of where the current police department is located. I think people like the visibility of the police department. That's a really big issue for the public. Also, too, I would like to know, how much is it going to cost to get the new building up and running? Do we have any projected costs? Because if the cost of the building is roughly it's going to be $6 million. You said it's going to take, you hope, less than a year. How much is it going to cost for us to get that building up and operational so that the police department can use it and the other departments can use it as well? What is the cost for that? In addition to the $6 million is the projected price of the building.
No, it's $6 million is the total package, ma'am. It's $2.775 to buy the building. It's another $3.2 million to make it operational.
Okay, so it's $6 million together for everything.
All in.
Okay.
Honeywell's left a lot of furniture for us, too. Some of the furniture you saw in some of the slides has been left for the town. We don't have to furnish the building.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. You did talk about the quaintness on Main Street. It is. It is, right?
Well, they want to see it. It's very comforting to see
It's nice to be seen. It's nice to have it there. Not many people enter it, but it's nice to know it's there.
Well, we know they're there if we need it.
66% of the time that you pull on that door, it's locked because it's not a 24-hour building.
But you got the bat phone on the side.
Police building, well, you got the bat phone. Right, you do. But you don't have a police facility where you need police immediately and there's an emergency, and if you're in Stonington, you walk into the police station 24 hours a day. If you're in Ledyard, if you're in Saybrook, if you're in Waterford, you don't in East Lyme on Main Street. Jim?
If you don't mind, I will make a comment on that. My name is Jim Lewandowski, and I'm a police officer here in town. It's a wonderful location to hit the little old lady walking across the street going to the movie theater as you pull out of the parking lot. You may think it's very quaint. I think it's very dangerous for the general public. It's not a wonderful location to have a police department. Not from this police officer's standpoint.
Yeah, we do have a busy Main Street, and I don't want to get combative here and all that, but yeah, there is another side to that. The police hate it there. There's a lot of traffic downtown. There's a lot of pedestrian. It's not a great location for police to be buzzing out. Pat, you had a question?
Yeah, you just said that our current police station isn't manned 24/7. Is the new facility
It's
going to be...
not unlocked 24/7.
Okay. Is the new facility going to be unlocked 24/7?
Yes.
And will that make us have more police present in the evenings, and will increase the cost?
No. We have dispatchers that work 24 hours a day. Sir, let me tell you how it's going to work, though, and I just wanted to give you the full answer. Dispatchers will be the receptionists in the building. They are in every police station you walk into. Okay, there's dispatchers there, and when the daytime receptionist is not there, the dispatcher can buzz you in. Again, they're still behind glass, but they're in the lobby, they're off the lobby, and they can welcome you into the police station, get an officer to come downstairs or from around the corner and help you with your problem. But police buildings are 24 hours a day in most towns like ours, Stonington and Old Saybrook, same size towns. Dispatchers are the ones keeping the building open during the evening hours. Our officers will be on the street. We're not planning on increasing the police budget. Your wife is on the Board of Finance. She's going to make sure, as well as our hardworking Board of Finance, will make sure that we're still going to keep costs in check. Do we need more police officers in this town? Yes. We have 23. We've had 23 for years and years. Other towns our size have well over 30. We do need to add police officers. When you call us saying, can't you do something about the speeding in our town? Geez, can't you do something about that? We can't. We're full out, we're straight out. But that has nothing to do with this. Yep. Sir, do you have a question?
Yes. You said that you have several sick police officers from the building? Yes, he said that. He had several sick police officers.
Yes. We have officers that are taking allergy shots currently.
All right. You're predicting a year to finish this project if we go ahead with it?
Less than a year, I said.
Okay. So they're going to be in that, let's say, less than a year, whatever that may be. Do you have some concerns about that? The liability issues?
That's why I'm here, sir.
Okay.
That's why I got off the couch and did this.
Well, great you got off the couch. I really appreciate it. To be honest with you, I'm very, very disappointed with the few amount of people are here. But anyways, you said the windows leaked and the roof leaked. If you're going to sell that building, wouldn't it be prudent thing to do, maybe put new windows in and a new roof on the building? You'd be protecting your police officers and also increasing the value of the building when you go to sell it.
Your question is, are we going to replace the roof, the windows, the bricks, the HVAC, the generator in the building?
Well, I'm just talking because of the issues with allergies.
We have allergies.
It's just a thought I have, you know?
Yeah, I know.
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, we're not going to put your money into that building. We're not going to put your money into that building. We're done. Or we're going to, if this doesn't pass on referendum, I'm going to have to. Still going to go to bond. Now I'm going to go put $1 million into a building or whatever it is.
Has the bond rating dropped in this town?
One of the rating services dropped all towns in the state of Connecticut that receive state aid that is higher than their rainy day fund. We're among the 30-something or 28 towns in the state of Connecticut in that category. Another rating service, Standards & Poor's, did not drop our rating. In fact, confirmed our rating. We're in the top 13% of towns with that rating. We're in the top 13%. Well, we got to get you on microphones, but there's other people with hands, so I could do a one-on-one with you afterwards. Be happy to. Sir.
Joe Ayers from Chesterfield Road. Should the merger with Old Lyme come to fruition, what payment will we expect from the town of Old Lyme for this new building?
I didn't bring it up, you did. It's another planted question, right? I'm not trying to use the Old Lyme possibilities as a selling point tonight. I think it's a realistic opportunity that isn't going to happen in the next couple of years. There's a little political thing going on in Old Lyme right now, and they have a task force to look at it that's not going in the right direction based on the personnel on the task force. Very political. If Old Lyme comes on, the discussion I've had with the first selectman and that task force is about a third of, they would pay for about a third. Their population is about that, they're about a third. So that $6 million project just became a $4 million project, them paying us $2 million. This discussion has been happening before and after the Honeywell project came up. And they were looking at, holy cow, East Lyme's going to have to build a new station. It's going to be $12 million, and we're going to have to pay a third of that. So although I don't think that task force is moving in the positive direction right now, they're relieved that they're going to have a better deal as, well, it's a cheaper price like we're going to have. So yes, a third has been the discussion. Instantly, we would pick up 7 officers. And we would have the room for those. You know, it's still owned by another company, and there's, so the question is, if you didn't hear, we're going to set up an open house at the Honeywell facility. They're moving out in the next week or two. They're going to the North Branford facility. There's about only 30 or 40 people that work there now. There used to be 150. Once they're all out, maybe we could sign something with them with extending liability, our town's liability, to bring the town through. I'd love that. We've taken pictures. We get a lot of pictures on the website. Take a look at them. I know. I would love to have this meeting there. Have little puppies and cookies and have you come to Honeywell. It's a done deal, right? I know. So, but it's owned by a corporation that's probably very, very liability conscious. And I'm going to try. So this, next week, the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance will hear this proposal and hopefully vote on it and vote positively to move it to referendum. From referendum, we're aiming for the 3rd week of February. There's a lot of time there that I might be able to schedule a Saturday afternoon, come on over, kind of thing. And it would be well publicized. You'll no doubt hear about it if you pick up the paper or going on our website or Facebook sites. It's getting late, but I want to get everybody in.
Jojo Swees from Stonywood Drive. I came here as a skeptic. I think you people have done due diligence. I have the hesitance that I had was the location, the presentation here, if I can believe most of it, which I hope that I can. seems to answer a lot of the questions. Going forward, I wish you luck. I know that the numbers are going to fluctuate. I don't think that regionalization, combining of services, is not something that's going to happen, but it's something that needs to happen for the state and for the region. This building might serve something to that purpose 20 years down the road, who knows? My position has changed from no to go.
Couple of you, thank you for your kind comments. I think it would be sooner than 10 years. If you heard the governor's comments the other day, there's going to be a push for regionalization. And maybe there'll be state money put up. They've done this before. They put state money up for dispatch centers to combine. Maybe there'll be money put up, and maybe that would come to East Lyme and Old Lyme and pay for some of that infrastructure as well. So maybe, but thank you. Listen, an opportunity came. I don't want to be here. I know you don't want to be here. I get it. But we don't want to have to do this. We should have done it 10 years ago. We should have done it 12, 15 years ago. But here we are. We have to do something. And I hope for your support at the referendum when it's scheduled. If you have any questions at eltownhall.com. That gets right to me. .com, believe it or not. It's eltownhall.com. Well, try it. If I don't respond, it means you went to the wrong place. eltownhall.com is our email address. And you could also put M. Nickerson. It will go right to my desk. Our town website has all this and much, 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 much more. But folks, call me. Reach out to any of these folks that you might know from the task force. We're doing our best just to get you the information. We hope that you see, like this gentleman, that, you know what, it's not a bad opportunity. Thanks for coming out tonight. I know it's a cold night, and stay safe.